life is all about making mistakes and all about trying and putting yourself out there. I think is the biggest thing. And just emulating love, like finding love and sharing it with others, and finding what you do that brings you love and bringing it to others.
Hello and welcome back to The Magical Lane. I'm your host, Maggie Jane, and today we're joined by some very beautiful guests. This is Hadley, we have Hannah and Rachel, and they're going to tell y'all a little bit about who they are and what they do.
Hi, I'm Hadley. I am a woman, a jack of many trades. I'm very passionate about music. Started DJing about 4 years ago. That's how I met my partner, Jordan. Now I'm a better DJ than he is. I love to crochet. I make really great balaclavas, like granny square, long duster coats, kind of Burning Man vibes. I knit as well. My mom used to knit by the fire, and I paint and I draw, and I just started making clothes, like sewing. So yeah, lots of passions.
Crafty girl.
Crafty girly.
I'm Hannah, and I also love doing crafts. I wish I had a house that I could store all my crafts, but I've been full-time traveling for the past 2 years, and mainly in Asia. I've been doing work trades. Then I got into content, TikTok, social media, posting all about my travels. I work for a few different travel companies, and I actually met some of my best friends in Costa Rica. They host their own retreat, and now I work for them, do the photography and videography, and it's literally my dream job, and I'm so grateful. And that's how I met this beautiful person, and this beautiful person, and she introduced me to Hadley. Now we're all here.
Here we are. I love that we all have very different stories, and that there's always a way that the universe kind of weaves people together, and it could be based on like one little thing that happened, or one little interest that you have, or one little conversation, and then as you start to unravel, you realize how closely knit like a lot of your experiences or your other interests are, as well as passions. But yeah, I don't know, it just is a little reflection for you. I'm Rachel. I am an embodiment coach, so I host retreats for women and gender inclusive retreats all over the country. And I also do one-on-one coaching. I have my own podcast called Soul Light Reflections. I have also led a lot of different lives. So I've done lots of different jobs. I have been an occupational therapist for almost 10 years now, and have worked in many, many different settings. And at the core of it all, my biggest passion and mission in this lifetime is to help people to embody whoever their highest, most playful self is. And so a lot of the work that I do infuses a lot of playfulness, dancing, music. I also DJ. And it's really just about waking people up to how much their life can change when they have experiences that have to do with being your truest self, and then infusing music through that, as well as movement, of course.
Beautiful. So as you guys can tell, this is a very beautiful group of phenomenal and inspiring individuals, and the energy in the air has been very transformational lately in so many different ways. So we're going to be here diving into all of that and just how that's impacting us, how we're moving through it, how we stay grounded, and how we're shifting within our careers, our creative passions, and just ourselves personally. So, ladies, my first question for you guys is, how would you say that this transformational energy of 2025 has been bringing in shifts for you? What have those shifts been, and how are you embracing it?
I think I've realized recently that passion is everything, and when you have passion, that creates everything. When you follow your passion and are surrounded with everyone else who has their unique passion, the energy is just crazy and transforms itself. Like, one of the retreats I just went on was like 16 girls. Everyone has their own passion and isn't concerned about like, well, I have to do this job to like make this money, but I don't love it. I have to do this. No one's doing anything that they don't like. Everyone's just doing their passions. And once you fully commit and put the trust into that, then that's when the magic happens, and you don't have to know the how of how is this going to happen. Like, I don't have a 9 to 5, I don't have stability, I don't know all these things. But when you just forget the how and let the universe take care of that and just do what you love, then that's where the magic takes off. And it's just so hard to even start that, because you just have to have this full trust in the universe. And that's the hardest thing, to just like, I know it will work for me. And you just have to know that. If you know it so much, then that's the only thing that can
reality,
happen.
right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm really learning to kind of embody this year. Like, I have discovered over the past 4 years, since specifically I met my partner, that like I am an amazing human, and I am a woman filled with many, many, many talents. And I think that I just the theme of this year for me has been just try it. Just literally try it. Like, what is the harm in trying it? Just get yourself out there and just try it. So that for me is this year in a nutshell. I just moved from Seattle to LA. We're here at my house. And I swear, since I made the executive decision to do that, like, in a snowball effect, it's just like one thing after the other after the other. Like, people keep coming into my life who resonate with like things I want to do, like acting. I met somebody who I used to know from Seattle, like at a club. We went to go see Moby, and Sebastian is his name. He's like doing full-time acting here, and so he's like, I have a bunch of classes for you, and just meeting people after people. And it's like, the more you become the person you want to be, the rest will follow.
Yeah. And off of that, I always thought like, oh, if I didn't have a friend to go with me, or if I didn't have a friend to come do my passion with me, I was like waiting to bring people to go what I wanted to do so I'd have someone. But I learned that I just have to go where I'm supposed to go, because those people will be there. And then you just start making all these friends, like you were just saying, who people just come into your life, and they're the people that you need. And I feel like I had this breakthrough about that on the recent retreat. And I really wanted to like go in the pool. This was like such a simple thing, but it felt so profound. And like no one was swimming, and I was like about to come collect my friends and be like, does anyone want to go in the pool with me? But then I saw like the 2 people that I was gonna want to collect and bring in the pool with me, and they just jumped in the pool. And I was like, if I just would have went in there, those people would have came. Like, the people that I wanted to be with and the people that I was supposed to be with, they would have just come. But I was just like waiting for like to have someone first. And that's just like such a simple way of putting it, of just, you have to go, and all the people will be there, all the people that you need, because they had that mindset too. And they were like, we just have to go independent, they'll be there. Yeah.
Trusting in that alignment, even if it's just like a simple thing of going into the pool, like
Yeah.
your people will come.
Yeah.
Your people will come. I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is so important for people to remember is, even if people that are along on your journey for whatever reason don't understand what it is that you're doing, A, it doesn't fucking matter. You can do whatever the fuck you want in this life. And B, eventually they will get it. And if they don't, that's completely on them. And you will have other people who start to get it that make you realize that you don't even need the people that don't get it anymore. But I found in my own journey, majority of the time, people who you would never think are listening or paying attention to what you're doing are actually holding you in like such high regard, because they're really inspired by you. And so I've had like tons of people over the last 10 years of sharing my journey. I've had people come to me who, out of the woodworks, who I would have never thought are still following me, say, I've been following your journey. Like, thank you so much for what you post. You have no idea how much you've inspired me to do this or that. Things that aren't necessarily even things that I even talk about, but that they still felt called to go tackle because of whatever inspiration they felt. So let's say like you're on a health journey or something, and you're just simply posting about your journey. You don't know who you're inspiring, not only just about a health journey, but also in terms of your mindset, in terms of overcoming adversities, in terms of like creating a new foundation for yourself of like the basics, in terms of like changing like who you are within on like a deep like cellular level. So I think that it's really cool. And I talk so much with clients about the ripple effect and how profound that is, that not only are we rippling through our own life, we're rippling to other people's every single decision that you make.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
true.
like one of my favorite things about starting this podcast is people that I would not have expected, or just like people I don't even really talk to. They're like, you're so inspiring. Like, I love listening to your podcast. I love everything you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't even know you, but thank you. Like, I love it so much.
It's so humbling too, especially when you're like really in alignment with something that means a lot to you. like, and you just roll with it, like people will start catching on and they'll be like, wait, this is actually doable for me too.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea, but like if she can do it, like I can do it, and that motivates me to want to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
That brings me into my next question. With everything that you guys are doing, what would you say is like your sole purpose behind doing it?
I say the reason and purpose is solely based off of like my own curiosity. Like, does this feel aligned for me? Like, when I want to go to make music, like, what am I going to feel when I do that? Is it like a full body fuck yes, or is it a full body fuck no? And you'll kind of figure that out as you like try different things. But also, it's like the impact, like, from other people, like when they hear the music that you make and like the smiles on their face and the love that they might feel. It's all about the ripple effect, like you were saying, Rachel. And it's just, you know, life is all about making mistakes and all about trying and putting yourself out there. I think is the biggest thing. And, you know, just emulating love, like finding love and sharing it with others and finding what you do that brings you love and bringing it to others.
Yeah, that's so good. I started traveling because I have this feeling that I have to see every place in the world, that there's all these lives being lived and I have to know them. I have to like honor that this is going on the other side of the world, and like people's lives are being lived over there. And I almost feel like if I don't see it, it's not happening. And I know that that's like so not true, but it's just like, I just feel like I have to see what's going on over there for me to have that in my brain, and for those experiences that people are having to alter my perspectives and like lead me to live a more worldly life, because I am open to so many things that are going on. And I feel like I've started to have this thought about how I've been going off of thinking way more than feeling. Like I'll think about something like, oh, should I do this? Like, should I go on this trip with these people? Like, is this going to be great for me? Like, I don't know. And I'll start to think about it a lot. And on the last retreat, I was realizing that I think I need to go off of feeling way more than thinking, because I had this night that, like, it was a drunk night with one of my friends before the retreat, and I hadn't drank in like so long, but it just reminded me that I was going off of feeling. Like, I feel like going up and talk to that person, so I'm not gonna sit here and be like, should I go talk to them? Wait, like, what would I say to them? I'm not even gonna think about it, because if I have a feeling, I'm just gonna go do it. And that thought like has been ruminating in my head, and I feel like I need to implement that a lot, of just go off of my feelings. Because also back to, I think, what you were saying earlier about just like your mind or your heart, and like just, I don't know, going off of feeling just feels so much more aligned. I don't need to start overthinking. And they're obviously like a good balance and a line to find, because I love to like get to the bottom of things, to like play around with the same conversation and just like think about it. But in the moment, I just really think going off of feeling is so important. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to go with in this phase of my life. Yeah. Feeling.
I want to say something real quick. Going off of that, like, that's literally why we're doing this podcast. Because you're like, I'm in LA, and I was like, we need to do a podcast. And like, I could have sat there and be like, no, like, let me just enjoy their time. But like, this is enjoying each other's time. And I was like, I want to do this, and I wanted to get, because I wanted to do multiple podcasts while I was in Costa Rica, and then I didn't do any.
Yeah, same.
Except for the one for myself. And I was like, we need to do a podcast. And then the fact that you guys are here, I was like, I gotta just go with it. Even though it took me 2 hours to get here, I was like, we're making it happen.
And she rode her pink motorbike up into the hills. Yeah, like, so I go cute. Outside, she's literally on the baby pink motorbike. Like, perfect. Like, so cool with her braids. Like, it's amazing. I love that.
So
bike.
cute.
It's
so
giving brat energy.
The coolest person
I
ever,
love that.
right?
I love that. If it was big enough, I'd take us all on a ride.
Okay, I completely forget what the actual question was, but it was about like what your passion, like why you think your passion is your passion, basically.
That sole purpose.
Yeah. So kind of like I mentioned when I did a little intro about myself, a huge reason why I am on this planet is to help others ascend into the highest possible version of themselves, and to meet that version of themselves and realize that they are actually you right now. They're always within you. It's not like something you have to like constantly strive for. And the way to get there is by finding what embodiment means in your own body, different for every single person. And a huge part of that is actually moving your body, whether or not you think you're a quote unquote good dancer or not. Absolutely no one's a bad dancer. I'm sorry. There's a difference between like having good rhythm, yes, but like dancing is literally just movement from the soul. It's literally just allowing that soul expression. And so a big reason for my purpose and like what I do through hosting ecstatic dance, through one-on-one clients calls, through retreats that I host, is all literally waking people up to there are so many tools that we are given on this earth, including our bodies, and we can work with all of these things in order to find exactly why the fuck we're here. And I don't think enough people really like wake up and realize that like dancing isn't just like being at a wedding and like two-stepping back and forth. Like, no, that's not dancing. Like, you need to find like a couple minutes every single day just to like really move and be one with your body. That's practicing that presence within your body so that your mind can like kind of start to sync up with what your body's intelligence is. And then when those are in line with what your soul expression is, that is where all the fucking magic is. That is where you're constantly leveling up. That is where all these manifestations are just coming to light out of nowhere. That is where like the perfect relationships, perfect friendships are constantly coming to you. And you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? Life got really good all of a sudden. Like, what? And I want people to realize that everyone can get there. Every single person. I think that people are so convinced like, oh, you have to be like super spiritual to get there. No, you fucking don't. Spiritual means something for everyone. And so it's really about waking people up to that anyone can have that. Now, a big part of that is that recognizing that every single person has different circumstances in their life. Every single one of us is born with things like, you know, differences in nationality, in skin color, in gender, and all of these things that sometimes don't feel like they really sync up, or sometimes the powers that be can really make things really, really hard for people to find enough safety within their own experience in order to actually get to that fullest expression of self. So something that I'm recently even more passionate about is helping people that don't necessarily ever feel safe in their body and just starting there, because I am very fucking privileged to say, yeah, just move your body, like it's fine, you're gonna be just fine, just alchemize. And it's like, well, some people literally don't feel safe enough in their own body to move it because of things that have happened in their life, or because of things that they were born with, or whatever might have happened for their experience. And recognizing like how fucking real that is, and how it's actually not fucking fair sometimes, and how we can still, even then, still get you closer and closer and closer to that version of yourself, so that hopefully you can eventually find that for yourself. And the biggest thing is that every single one of us in this entire world does have it within us. You don't actually need any of the tools or any of the, you know, the practitioners or any of that. It just kind of makes things, it's a little bit of a highway sometimes, right? It makes things a little bit easier. You feel a little less alone, but you actually can find it completely on your own. I firmly believe that, because in the very, very base of every single one of us is literally just like a tiny piece of source, and we're all actually one. So why wouldn't every single one of us actually have that and be able to access that?
So true.
Yeah. You really just have to go into nature. Go into nature and connect. And that's where I started finding the answers. Like, I want to dive into like how we kind of got introduced to this like spiritual creative journey, and how we started like implementing in the very beginning. For me, I was going through a awful time, had like barely any friends, was barely connected to my family, just dropped out of college, and my roommate just moved out, and I was sleeping on my couch, working 2 jobs, walking to work, and TikTok started showing me like spiritual videos. And truthfully, like that's what like started it all for me. And I just started doing like meditation and yoga, and then I ended up finding a network marketing group through TikTok, and I joined, and it was all women, and that was like the first community that I was a part of that was like, you can do whatever you want, and you can read these books, and it'll open your mind. And it was phenomenal. And then here we are 4 years later. So I want to know what your guys' journey was with that. Thank you.
I have a lot to say here. So I grew up with, well, I believe truly that, you know, we choose our parents in this lifetime, and that's, you know, that's getting pretty deep, and I'm not going to force that idea onto everybody. However, I was obsessed with watching near-death experiences, and a couple people's stories like really resonated with me. And then I got to thinking, like, as an adult, like, pretty much full consciousness, I'm like, that actually makes so much sense. Like, my mom and I, we went through a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for me growing up. I definitely had to grow up fast. However, she's always been very tapped in, and I don't think she like fully realized how to utilize that. But growing up, she would always say, 1111, make a wish. And I remember before, I was 7, like 5 or 6, she would like tap on my forehead and she'd say, keep your third eye open. And so, just through that, and through numerology, and she always had her tarot cards out. It wasn't like she was, forcing that upon me and my sister. And we didn't grow up going to church or anything. I did take it upon myself to go accompany my friends to church, and it was this really Christian church, and it wasn't really for me. I'm glad I got to have the experience, but I just, things started. I kept seeing angel numbers all of everywhere, and then I was like, this kind of makes sense. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Like, you can kind of just have a sense of like, wait, I'm seeing signs and signals that like I'm in the right place. And I can kind of tell when I'm like falling off of my path a little bit. And then I'm like brought back and I'm like, wait, there are the signs again. I feel it. So, through that, I've watched plenty of documentaries and, read a lot of books and listened to podcasts, a lot of podcasts, especially when I was just redoing my room like a crazy person. So yeah, I can thank my mom, but also I think a lot of outside factors. And, as I, gained consciousness as an adult woman, I was like, I think there's more to this than that. Like, I think we're all connected, and I think there's a reason why we're all here. Yeah.
There's a reason why we're all here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think this whole journey started for me whenever I knew that I wanted to just travel the world, and everyone told me it was not realistic. Like, you have to get a job. But I knew that there was a life out there for me that I could do what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't want to do anything that I don't want to do. And I know that sometimes in life you have to do those things, but not as much as people make it seem. Like, I don't have to be working this job right now to make money. Like, there's so many ways to get to the same outcome. And that was not my way. And other people maybe in this society didn't know about these other ways. They're like, this is the way. You have to go to college. You have to get a degree, blah, blah, blah. I did go to college and all that. However, because of this idea that I wanted to travel and I wanted to do what I wanted with my life and live the best life possible, that started me flying out to Thailand, traveling full time for 2 years. And through doing the things I want is, I feel like, what set me off on this journey, because then at the first retreat I went to, I feel like so much goes back into these retreats. They're so amazing. And it was the first time that I was surrounded by other people who also had this same mindset, that they were all doing what they loved and you could do whatever you want. And that was like, I had never heard this before. Like, I always thought this was a me thing. Like, always as a kid, people were like, how are you gonna travel, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't care, I'll sleep in the jungle. Like, that was always my answer. I'm like, I don't know the how. I will literally sleep in the jungle. I don't know. I actually have slept in the jungle before, but that is not always the how anymore. There are so many other hows. But I didn't want to have to think about that, because sometimes you don't have to. And at this retreat, everyone, like the girl who hosted it, lived a normal life in Canada, and then she didn't want to do that. She wanted to do what she wanted to do. She moved to Costa Rica. She started hosting retreats. It blew up. This is like her full-time job. She does what she loves. And everyone else there was just this huge light of energy that just like opened these doors for me. And I feel like that's where the spiritual journey started, because nothing was like so spiritual before, other than just like me having the mindset that I can do what I want, like almost like manifestation. But I didn't use these terms with it. I was just like, I can do things. I'm so capable of anything. And being around people who like said these things so often and put it into other terms just like opened these doors for me. And it was just so magical. And that's what I feel like shot me off on this journey more.
I can literally see your goosebumps.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Too. I'm like, oh my god.
Because it's just magical. I'm like so thankful that these events have happened in my life to get me to where I am now, because it's just like, I'm so proud that I had this trust in myself from a young age when everyone told me I couldn't do this. And it's just like, you have to have this full trust. because I'm doing it and it's so capable. Like you can do anything you want. You can literally do anything. And yeah, it's just like magical. Like don't ever think that you can't do something because you can.
You literally entered my life at the perfect time because what you're preaching right now is literally what I've been trying to like just bury into my mind. Like that I
Really?
can do anything I want.
You can. You're so capable.
Thank you.
You can do anything. You're going to create such cool things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have so many areas to create.
Thank you,
And
babe.
yeah, we just like went to this festival together. I literally just met her like yesterday or the day before.
And we're just already best friends.
Yeah, we're like best friends. And Rachel introduced us. We were all at Lightning in a Bottle. It was my first festival. And like that was just a whole nother like shot off because I had no idea it was more than a concert. And I was just like transformed.
Yeah. Transformational music festival. Nobody calls it that, but I do. And Jordan's like my partner. He's like, you know, nobody ever calls it that. I'm like, but it is a transformational music festival. It literally is. Like, you will be transformed.
You're leveling
You will
up.
shed a layer of skin, and you will be transformed
I
into a
have-
butterfly.
I have something to touch on that you said earlier about dancing because I always thought that I'm not that great of a dancer. Like I'm pretty tall. I feel like when I move, it's not like flowy. It's like sticky. I don't know. But at the ecstatic dances, like my first one I ever did, it was still kind of that feeling, and I felt like being judged, although no one was actually judging me. It was just like me inside thinking that. And when I started to like, Rachel dances however she wants, and it's like so confident and like so cool, and she's so like in tune and can move however she wants. And just like, I don't know, I'm so glad that I feel that way now. And it's like after listening to this electronic music, because it just fits these grooves in my brain that I don't have to think about how I'm moving. I can just move. Whoops. And like I can just flow and I'm not thinking about anything. And that only happened recently. And like my whole life, I didn't think I looked good dancing. But now I feel that way. And it's like being surrounded by people like you who create the best music to like show you that you can move your body. And yeah, who else has something to say? I feel like I just yapped for so long.
That makes me so happy. I love hearing reflections from people when me literally just doing what the fuck I want to do and like grooving with myself is so inspiring to other people. Like I know at the retreat, like multiple people were like, "Oh my God, Rachel, you were moving from the second the music started before the ecstatic dance practitioner even like told us what to do." And I was like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna move. Like, and they were like, no, thank you. Like that helped me to feel more comfortable to be able to do that within myself. And then the music festival we were just at, the first night I could not catch a fucking vibe. And then eventually we went to this one tent and like this, like, I guess it was one of the stages, but it was like in this like massive like tent thing. And I finally caught a vibe and I was just moving and grooving and dancing with all these people and like half contact dancing. And it was just like so beautiful. And just like, it was basically like an ecstatic dance session is what it felt like to me. And I needed it so bad. And then like half an hour later, I'm sitting on this cushion and this girl was like, "Oh my God, like you and your friends are so good." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, babe. Like, do you want to go dance?" She's like, no, like I don't dance. And I was like, well, first of all, anyone can dance. I was like, don't talk to me like that. Like, absolutely not. We don't talk that way here. And she's like, "But no, like those are your friends, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, who?" And I'm like pointing at my friends. She's like, "Oh, wait, no, like the people you were dancing with." I'm like, "Oh no, I have no idea who they were." And she was like, she could not believe it. Like she literally was like, "Wait, you don't know them?" And I was like, "No, like I just met. I don't even know their name. We didn't even like exchange names afterwards. Like we were just moving." And then I realized like this is not a thing people usually do. Like while I'm talking to her, I'm like, "No, I didn't know them. Like it was fine. Yeah, it was super fun. Like I don't know." And she's just like, "Wait, what?" And so I think that moments like that remind me and kind of like humble me down to like, not everyone feels that permission with themselves to move and to play and to do things that like they kind of want to do, but like are kind of thinking about like, what are people going to think? I will say most of my life was like that. Like most of my life, I just was like so self-conscious. And like, I think that from an outsider perspective, people would think that I was like really confident. And like my siblings would say that I was really bossy, but like internally, I was always like, what is this person thinking? Is that person going to like me for this? Am I cool for that? But like, I mean, I guess I'm glad I didn't come off as like needing that confidence boost, but like I definitely felt it within. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy because like that, I guess that kind of ties into like my spiritual journey. When I was very young, I always felt very in tune. My mom tried to raise me Catholic though, and my stepmom was very spiritual. So when I would spend time with my stepdad and mom, or my stepmom and dad, she would like ignite this intuitive side of me and like include me in things like tarot readings and all this stuff. And then I'd go back to my mom, who's Catholic, and she'd be like, she's fucking crazy, she's manipulating you, like all this shit. And then I was convinced that I was crazy. So then it was like, just I would only spend like summers with my dad, and so it was like I would like spend a whole year with my mom almost, and being convinced like, nope, like Jesus is the way, this, that. And then I'd deep down be feeling like, I know I have to do these things, like go to Sunday school, but like none of this feels right and it all feels icky and I don't really like it and I don't really get it, but I just dealt with it because what do you do? And then I'd go back to my dad for the summer and like feel all like ignited again, and it just was like back and forth my entire childhood. And then basically since I was like 18 and moved out on my own, like my spiritual journey just started like growing and growing very, very, very slowly. But then I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 23, and that's where it just fucking catapulted. So 9 years ago now I was diagnosed, and it just completely turned my world upside down, and I like had no choice but to dive deeper, and I was getting all these soul downloads and things just like rapid fire from that point. And I think that it's because I really needed it. Like that was the point at which the universe said, all right, she's fucking ready. Like give her all the keys, give her all the tools. And then it's taken until the last like 3-4 years for me to like really outwardly express these things and share these things on things like social media, when it's been something internally for a very, very long time. And now I'm finally getting comfortable with, for instance, like sharing intuitive downloads that come through for other people, because it's always really nerve-wracking. Or like having my own soul downloads and channeling them through song when I don't consider myself a singer or musician whatsoever. Things like that feel scary, but also are like, you know what, screw it. Like Hannah was saying, don't think, just do it, just feel it, and if it feels right, go do it. And it's been really powerful. I've always said I love being in my 30s because you really are looking for yourself, and then somehow something clicks when you're 30 and you're just like, fuck, this is who I am, cool, all right, let's go. Like now we get to really live. Like now we're just getting started. But I feel like before that I wasn't quite ready for that. It was very internal. It was very still worrying about what everyone was thinking. And then finally, I'm like, all right, like, let's go now. So now it's just, it feels so good, that embodied sense. It's like something that's always been there. And now I get to be like the loudest and the proudest about everything within.
It definitely shows. Like you were, out of everyone on the retreat, you were one that I just like constantly, like my attention was drawn, because you're just, it's so freeing. Like going back to the dance, like that ecstatic dance. So side note, I met these two on that retreat in Costa Rica that we've been talking about, but that ecstatic dance experience that we had, like that was one of the first moments where I was like free, just dancing, and I was rolling on the floor, and I was like, because I saw you doing it, I was like, I want to do that. And it just felt so free. And like I did dance for 4 years and I never once felt that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, because I was so stiff, and like people would tell me like, you're a good dancer. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, everyone asked that. I did not.
I did ballet too, and
Yeah.
I can resonate with that as well. Actually, I had a really quick point with the, dance like nobody else is watching. I've been attending music festivals for probably like 7 years now, and I felt very similarly to a lot of people, like uncomfortable in my body. I'm like, who am I? What's going on? How the fuck do I move? I don't really get it. Like I can play music by ear, and so the music like resonated, but there was always that like little devil on my shoulder being like, well, what are people going to think about you? Like do they have something to say? And I think it was like the trauma rooted in like the high school girls who would always sit with me at lunch and they would talk about their plans in front of me, and then later on I'd see them hanging out on social media that weekend, and then they'd all talk about it in front of me as a group collectively, like as if I was there, but like ignoring me being there. And so for me, it was always like, well, if I do something wrong, or if I present myself in a way that like, is off-putting to them, like what will that do to me? And then as soon as I started going to music festivals, especially listening to bass music, a part of me just clicked, and every time I go to a music festival, I swear I get deeper and deeper into these like alter egos is what I like to call them. Sasha is one of mine who I love, and for me it's all about like just playfulness and fun. Like I like to put a wig on, and then a part of me is just like, wait, it's not even me anymore. Like I can just be whoever I want to be. I'm going to be Sasha today, and then I'm going to be Paris Hilton at Burning Man tomorrow. And so I'm dancing as if I'm this Sasha person. And I'm like, I can do literally whatever I want. And I look back on videos of myself, I'm like, that's me, but it's not me. It's a better version of me. And that's what I highly suggest as well. Like, if you want to feel more comfortable, like, put a wig on, like put some drag makeup on, like put a skirt on, like just be cute, be sexy, be funny, do clown makeup, like whatever it is, and like dance like literally nobody's watching you.
That's where I had to start also with like putting my pashmina over my head, putting my sunglasses on. It was like my cave. No one could see me. And then and then I got this confidence and I was like, okay, I can do whatever I want. But I should try out the wigs.
You should try the wigs. The wigs are definitely it.
No, I love that because I feel like I know you guys are speaking on music festivals, but I feel like that's all of our creative passions too. Like it's a different character. I like how you give it another name, like an alter ego. I feel like that kind of breaks down so many walls of it's like, how do I make myself into this person? But it's like if I make it a whole other person, then I can just become that.
Exactly.
And it's so beautiful. Like with like modeling and acting, it's like that is a whole character.
It's hard too, I feel like we're all so empathetic, and I feel like anybody on their own spiritual journey is like can really relate to other people, and like I'm sure we can all be like placed into a room of like different characters, and we can start becoming more like them. Like as you hang out with friends, your laugh becomes a little bit more like them. And so I feel like I think there has to be, an intention set beforehand, because I've definitely lost myself in that before. And so, like, setting an intention and like writing down your manifestations, like, I will be a good dancer and I will dance like nobody's watching me as Sasha, or whatever it may be. But that's kind of my thought on that.
I love that. What would you guys say are like your main practices? Because especially whenever the energy is just like really high, really transformational, it is hard to like kind of get lost, and you start to like you just get so focused on like what is even happening right now. So what are your guys' grounding practices? Start here with you.
Oh, that one feels challenging because the number one thing, I get this question like a lot on social media. What is it that you do? What are your like non-negotiables? And I've learned throughout my health journey over the last 9+ years that it needs to, not only that it will look different, but it needs to look different for every single person. So I always hesitate with questions like this because there's no one thing. And I used to very much fall into the trap that most people do, where you listen to a podcast, you see an Instagram post, you see someone on TikTok talking about something as if it's going to change your entire life. And then you dive head first and you go really, really hard in the paint with whatever practice, and then it doesn't work. And then you're like, I'm failure, I didn't do it right, I should have committed myself more, blah blah blah, and then you end up way worse than you started. So I want you to take these practices or suggestions very lightly and genuinely tap into your own intuition and recognize how those make you feel before you even start, because some of these things might not work for you, and like that is a-okay. Or you might start it for a week and you might realize that it's actually really daunting to think about doing the thing, and so that is not a practice you should be doing. The thing that you should choose, or multiple things you should choose, is what makes you excited to do it. Even if it's like a little annoying but you're mostly excited for it, great. But it should ideally be something that you're just like, oh my god, I can't wait to go on that walk later or whatever. But with that preface being said, some really, really simple practices that I like doing is lighting Palo Santo or incense. I have a couple of incenses that are like my absolute favorite. One is called Nag Champa, and the other one is called Sai Flora. And one of them is like a very like Indian scent, and the other one is one that I actually found when I was traveling in Bali. And something about those, like I don't even know what it is, but something about those is so grounding to me. And I've never found incense that makes me feel more grounded than those. Another one is very simple, just putting your bare feet to the earth if possible, literally wherever you are. And like earth meaning like actual dirt or grass or sand, like not cement.
I think everyone should do that one.
Yeah. And I've had people in the past, I've posted that on social media, and I've had people in the past be like, well, it's still snowing here in Alberta. And I'm like, okay, you can dry your feet, right? Like this is like an element from the earth. It's actually really beautiful to do so, even for a second. So like incense or Palo Santo, bare feet to earth, and honestly, like shaking, like standing there and just shaking the shit out of every single joint in my body is so, so grounding, as well as like certain very simple qigong practices. Like there's tons of different like exercises you can do, but if you look up qigong, Qigong, there's so many like practices that you can do like 3 reps of. It takes you 30 seconds and it can completely reset your energy systems throughout your body. I'll stop there because I have a million.
I think that my main grounding thing is journaling. I haven't journaled in like a week and a half now because I've just been at the music festival, but usually I journal almost every day. I have like 15 journals from my life, and I started because I like forget a lot of things, so I can remember like all my nights out from college or just like every experience, like yeah, literally everything I've done, and it's so fun to like relive, and it also resets me. It gives me energy, and that's how I know that this is a method that's for me, because it doesn't take my energy. It gives me energy when I write out the things that I've done, when I write out the things I have to do, and then that like makes me feel a sense of relief. And then if I have time, or if I feel called to like write my feelings about something, then that just like it like sorts them in my brain and puts them into boxes, because I've written it down and I've like figured it out on paper. Like I don't already know what I'm gonna write, I just figure it out, and then it like makes me feel really good. Other grounding that I like to do, since I'm traveling a lot, I'm usually by the ocean and in nature, and floating in the ocean is my favorite thing ever. Snorkeling and just hearing nothing and seeing the beautiful ocean life and the corals, and I would like snorkel every week when I'm traveling, and it's so beautiful and at peace to just be in this whole other world, like the whole half of the world that's underneath that we don't even see and know about. It's so calming and beautiful, and there's so much going on down there. So that's a beautiful thing that just calms my mind and literally makes me tear up, because I'm just seeing all these beautiful species like interact with each other and like swim in their little coral homes, and just so pure and intuitive. And it's so cute. I could just like like literally float above them and just see turtles and fish and their little corals and their little families and the baby fish, and it's just beautiful. And yeah, grounding, putting my feet on the ground. Those are my things: being in nature and journaling.
I love that you just said that, because I think that being in a body of water, like I was going to suggest, not all of us are blessed enough to go travel as much as you do, but I would highly suggest going to float tanks, because those it simulates what it's like to be in a mother's womb. So you're literally like floating, and like you're just by yourself, and it's dark. Like I did one and I kind of hated it, to be honest, just because I kept bumping into the walls of the side of the float tank. And I was just like, oh, wait, I don't know which way is up and down. And I got dizzy. But after a while, I was like, okay, I came back to my breath, which is what I was going to talk about for my grounding practices. And I was like, okay, I did some deep breaths, and I was like, okay, I can now fully relax. And breath is so important. Like it is literally like one of the few things that we need to survive and live and breathe and exist on this planet. I actually recently I attended Lightning in a Bottle with these guys, and I went to this breath work. I missed yoga. It was like a little bit too late in the morning. So I went to this breathwork workshop. And we were by the water, and this amazing gal kind of led us through her interpretation of, the Wim Hof method. I love it too. And I want to practice it more. Like I kept saying today, like I need to practice what I preach. And I can talk a lot, and I love journaling too, but I think like actually implementing those things, like that's what I've been working with my therapist on, and just like, making sure that like every day you wake up and you brush your teeth, right? Or like I have my coffee in the morning and then I brush my teeth, or making the bed. It's just like those simple things. So for me, I really think that, taking a minute to just like sit with yourself and just like have some deep breaths, like however it makes you feel comfortable. Just like I like to breathe, in through the stomach and then up through the chest. And then you can hold it. I mean, there's so many different methods. I love the the 4 square box method. In for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. Just doing that, no matter where you are, is like one of the best things that you can do to ground yourself. And my partner, Jordan, he did this to my friend Lana, who came from Florida, all the way from Florida. And she's a little spicy like me. And so I saw him at one point kind of sit down from the corner of my eye, and he was sitting with her, and he looks her in the eyes and he goes, okay, let's do some deep breaths. Just let's shake it off real quick, and then let's go. And I could see her just completely start relaxing. And it was beautiful. It really does help, especially for like high anxiety, like high stress people like me. Breathing definitely helps. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you all for sharing. And the reason I wanted to even like talk about the grounding practices is because I know for me, what works best with my mind and just like how to like implement new things for myself is exposing myself to new things. So like I wanted to hear like all the new things, because like I 100% agree with what you say. Like, we take things from social media and we're like, oh, that must be the right thing for me, and then it's like, no, that's the right thing for them. They're just sharing it. And if it feels right for you, then yes, of course, do it. But I wanted to just share to like give people that expansion of like it can look like so many different things, and I love it. And
so a question that I just thought of that I'm now thinking of, and I don't even know if I have the answer to, and so maybe we can just like leave this with all of us to reflect on, just like how do you, in this transitional phase and like throughout life, like as we're growing as women and men and people on this planet, like how do you figure out like what your thing is? Like how do you figure out what you really like, oh, I'm meant to do this? Like it could be like, body cues, or it could be a feeling, and people experience things differently. But like how would you guys say that, like, if you're trying something or if you're doing something new and maybe you like it, how do you figure out, like, do I like this? Is this like a full body fuck yes or a full body fuck no? Like how do you figure that out?
So back to just if it gives you energy, and there's so many things you can try. So this isn't just like a one-time fix all thought, but if something gives you energy, and I've been focusing on that a lot because I went through a phase recently where I just felt like I didn't have energy, and I didn't feel like I wanted to like go hang out with friends, or I didn't feel like I wanted to do these things that I usually did. And it could just be entering new eras, liking new things. But I started to focus on what gives me energy and thinking about how I feel when I left certain friends or once I did certain activities. And even with traveling, like it used to give me so much energy. And then since it's been 2 years, I kind of got worn out of moving place to place all the time. And I'm like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me anymore. And I still want to travel the world, but switching places every day and living out of a backpack and meeting new people, it can be exhausting. And at first that was giving me energy because it was everything I wanted. I wanted to meet everyone from all over the world. And right now, I still want to do that, but I want to do that with a community. And that is what's working for me right now and giving me energy in this transformational journey, is being surrounded by all these people who are in a same level of on their journey. That was like a weird sentence, but you know what I mean? And yeah, honestly, I really think traveling, there's so many ways, but traveling, you're exposed to so many new things, and you can see what things give you energy just within little things of your day, like going into a shop, having a conversation about this, going on a walk, being in an inside environment, being in this type of nature. And like so many different environmental things are happening all the time when you're traveling. And you can really see kind of fast what depletes your energy, what makes you be like, oh, I have to go home and rest now. Like this was such a tiring day. Or yeah, and what makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so ready to just continue the night and be with these people all night. Like, and really starting to just focus on how you feel after certain things, because once you have those things, you can kind of dive into them more, and that opens portals for things that give you energy, maybe different hobbies and passions that you can explore with. And yeah, just focusing on how you feel.
My answer is a lot more like micro than that. On a much like smaller scale is finding ways to practice every single day in the little things. So taking what Hannah was saying about recognizing how certain things that you're doing, certain activities, certain tasks, certain people are making you feel, but like literally on the tiniest levels. So for instance, like I always talk about with my clients about like, how do I know what intuition is? Like in general, not even just in like my purpose, right? How do I know what my intuition is? How do I learn how to like start trusting it? And one of the simple ways that I talk about with that also correlates to trusting like the way that things make you feel or people make you feel is, for instance, if you're walking your dog and you get a little ping of like, I've never gone that way, and you feel like you should go that way, try it. If you are, I don't know, like opening your door, you go to open your bedroom door, and instead of opening it with your right hand, you open it with your left hand. Just like throwing things off here and there, just if you get any sort of little twinge of like, never done that, or I wonder what that would be like, try it. And a lot of times, even those tiny little actions will have some sort of ripple effect on something else. And then some other synchronicity will pop up and you'll realize, oh, wait, this is all connected. This all makes sense. I trusted my intuition. And so this thing fell into my lap. And so when it comes to knowing like what it is that you're supposed to do with your life, I think that it first comes from within yourself and knowing yourself, because you're not going to know what the fuck to do in your life if you don't even know who you are. You have to start in a very, very micro level of, does it feel good when I am dancing around in my kitchen? Yes or no? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it genuinely does not feel right now. And maybe we try something different. Maybe we try cooking. Okay, does this feel right? Wow, yeah, I like am absolutely loving this. There's nothing about this I don't like. Great. That's something that I enjoy, right? And so once you know who you are deep down and know how certain like little tiny activities throughout your day make you feel, then you can start correlating it to the bigger things, like making art. Oh my God, wait a second. I'm like really good at this. This really lights me up. I really love the other people that I get to meet. I love hosting events. Oh my God, I should literally like start selling my art and like hosting galleries, right? Like it will all start to click. But how do you expect to know who you are if you don't, or how do you expect to know what it is that you're supposed to be doing if you don't know who you are? So I think that is like the very first level, is recognizing who the fuck am I? Who am I? I'm not my name. Like, it doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter what your roles are. It doesn't matter what your responsibilities are. It doesn't matter like what your title is. None of that matters. Who actually are you? And like peel that back first, and then you can start to build back up from that foundation.
I love that so much. I also have a different answer. I think for me, what helps me know what I want is connecting with my younger self. I feel like little Maggie knew exactly what she wanted, and lately I've been tapping more into that. Like I've been going to the tumbling class. Like I've always had a passion for fitness and just like really bringing my body to the most extremes. And that's why I'm like fully sober right now, because I'm like, what can my body do? And I just like, for so long I was in so much pain, and like I thought I had arthritis, and the doctor was like, no, you're literally fine. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it then? And so I was just like, what can I do to like really push past that? Because like, we're young, we should not be hurting unless like you're diagnosed with something, or like, you know, there's like a physical problem that you have. Like you should not be in pain every day just doing like everyday things. So little Maggie knew that. And she was very expressive. And so just like journaling with my younger self and just like really tapping into my inner child and remembering what I loved and what I really loved as a kid. And I feel like it's still so true now. It's so true now. So I love that. And I want to hear your thoughts. Have you thought of an answer?
Oh God, I don't. That made me so happy. I was like thinking about like my childhood, and like I would look at these magazines that my mom had sitting on her table, and I'm like, I want to do that. Like I want to be on a magazine. Like I want to model. And I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, and like I wanted to draw. Like I colored all the time, and I just wanted to create and like play, and like taking yourself back to that, I think is so beautiful, so beautiful. I guess one way that I figure out what I like is just by like listening to those like inner cues, and whether it be dancing in your kitchen, maybe I like it or I don't like it. Like for me, I think it's more of like, I've noticed when I really like to do something, time just doesn't exist. Like hours and hours and hours of time just go by, and I'm just so fully immersed in my flow state.
Yeah.
And then I just come out of it, and I'm like, what day is it? Where am I? Like I had no idea. That's like me with my crochet. I'm like sitting over here like a gremlin, just like hours gone by. I'm like, wait, I think I have to participate in real life stuff now. But yeah, just like I think it's like flow state is the only way I can really describe it. Like it feels just like no time has gone by, and just you're stopped in that moment, and it's just like eternity is now.
That's so true. As a psychology major, I learned a lot about flow. And it's like when a task is equally challenging, or a good amount of challenging where it's not too hard for you to do and it's not too easy. It's your perfect amount that gets you able to keep going. Because if it's too hard, you're going to get like overwhelmed and not complete the task. And if it's too easy, you're going to move on to something else. It's this perfect balance that makes time not exist, because it's like, it's just a beautiful state to be in, is a flow state. And I feel like I try to achieve that daily in my life. My flow state is capturing moments and editing them and putting them into like the most beautiful movie of my life and my friends. And that is when I'm in flow.
So good at it.
Thanks,
So good at
guys.
it. It's making me
Love
remember
you.
how much I love to do that too. I do like summer recaps,
Yeah,
and same with
it's
the
so
journaling
fun.
too. When I was moving, I got into like my old books, and I was like, what is this? For 4 summers in a row, every single day I would journal, like every single day what I did the whole day, and like what the day was filled of, and like being able to look back on that and be like, wow, like I was such a different person back then. Or like writing notes to yourself like years from now, and just seeing the growth there. I think that's beautiful. Sorry, I got off on a tangent, but
Love that.
yeah.
Honestly, I feel like we should go into breath and just leave it at that. And that way you guys are left with how you can know what you want. And then breathe into it. Okay, we're going to do the box. As she mentioned, it's breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds. I think we should do 3 rounds. Okay.
The reason it's called box breathing, also for anyone not watching video, is because you're literally making a square. So as you breathe in, you're going up the side of the box. As you breathe out, you're going across the top. As you hold, you're going across the top. As you breathe out, you're going down. And then as you hold for the next 4 seconds, you're going across. You can kind of like visualize that in your mind, or even like have your fingers with you drawing that square in front of you. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to set an intention. Even though this is a really short practice, it can be a one-word intention. It can be something that you want to feel after these couple of seconds of breathing. Set some sort of intention here. And then you can shut down the eyes, roll back the shoulders a little bit, maybe shimmy side to side, head and neck side to side. Just sink into your body for just a moment, and then pause when you feel like you got there. Just observe your breath as it is without changing anything quite yet. And we're going to start the box breathing. So you can visualize it, you can watch on the video, you can follow along with your finger, you can do all three. And we're going to count 4 seconds, breathing in, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, and holding for 4. So starting with a slow, deep breath in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe out 4, 3, 2, 1. And pause 2, 3, 4. That's 1. We're going to do 2 more. Deep breath in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. One more time. We're going to go a little bit slower for this last one. So breathing in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And then pause. 2, 3, 4. And then keep those eyes closed and just recognize what it feels like in your body at this moment. Maybe a little bit more softness around the chin, the jaw, the shoulders, the core, the hands, the toes. Maybe a slight buzzing, tingling sensation throughout the body. Maybe a little bit more lightness to the energy body. And then just observing a couple of breaths without that deep breathing, just recognizing the quality of your breath, and maybe your mind feels a little bit more at ease. Maybe you just feel like all of those energy centers are lined up and calmed. And when you're ready, slowly opening the eyes if you haven't already, wiggling the fingers and toes, taking in your surroundings. I hope that you feel a little bit lighter after that. It's a really, really great practice. Super simple. You can always Google all different kinds of calming breath work techniques. There's tons out there. And there's also breathwork techniques to do the opposite, to energize you. So you can also look those up if you tend to struggle with something like fatigue or just general tiredness or anything like that.
Beautiful. Thanks for the guidance,
Mhm.
Rachel.
Thank you.
You're
Was
welcome.
so beautiful.
That was so good.
My absolute pleasure.
Well, that wraps this beautiful conversation. Thank you, ladies, so much. Big hug. Group hug.
Love
Thanks
that.
for having us.
Thank you.
So fun.
Fun.
I love it.
I love
Thank
that.
you guys for listening.